I think a lot of what is out there is unfortunately the replication of people's, or like the enactment of people's own traumas that are going on without resolution. I have the very core belief that people are constantly trying to heal, and that we take on we do so many different things to try to heal.
Welcome to the Multiple Truths podcast. We're your hosts, Holly
and Brittany. This is a space where we can come together healing in community, where we share our self-love journeys, insights, and wisdom.
A space with no hierarchy or judgment, fostering love, compassion, and respect, and where we honor our differences. With open minds and hearts, everyone's truth is welcome here. We are in this together.
Let's dive into the episode.
Hello and welcome back. You're here with Holly, and today I'm joined with Iris. She is a dominatrix specializing in catharsis and transformation through BDSM. So this is a different type of conversation, and I learned so much. I felt so called to talk to Iris to learn more about her work. I had heard her on one of my friend's podcasts when she was talking about the work that she does, and I just had full body chills. I was like, I feel like I want to have her on the podcast because I think this is a really important conversation, especially right now. You know, I've been feeling such a strong pull to talk more about sex. I know Brittany and I did a full episode called Let's Talk About Sex, but we were really diving into it. You know, specifically how to express sexuality in a healthy way and an empowering way, because right now it carries such a heavy, dark, dense energy. There is so much shame. There is so much guilt. There is so much repression and stigma. It's such a taboo topic. There's so much abuse out there. And yeah, it's just so heavy right now. But sexuality is meant to be so beautiful. Like, we are meant to be connected to our sexuality, to our bodies, to our pleasure, to our play. And it just feels like it's so dark and such a taboo topic that no one talks about, and it's become so dark. So we need to bring light to the dark. We need to start having these conversations to shine some light on it. And yeah, I just felt really called to talk to Iris because I think it's so important to find safe and intentional spaces to explore sexuality as a path to healing. You know, this isn't going to be for everyone. This type of work is not going to be for everyone, but I can see it being so deeply healing, and there can be a lot of transformation that can happen. And Iris and I really dive into how crucial intention is when it comes to this work, both from her side as the dominatrix. Like, she has a deep sense of healing, a deep intention for healing, which I'll get into. Well, her deep intention is around catharsis and transformation through BDSM. But it's so important to know what the other person's intention is as well, because some people stepping into this work, like, they're not looking to heal. But for those that are looking to heal, this can be so incredibly profound because, again, sexuality is something that we don't talk about. So being able to have a safe space where you can go to explore and actually work through something and maybe recreate a scenario that was painful for you in the past, and actually you have power now and you can use your voice and you can be the one in charge. There's so much that healing that can happen, apparently, you know, with role play, which I can absolutely see. Yeah, so it's just such an interesting conversation, and I can see the healing power in it, absolutely, and I know why I felt drawn to have her on. So yeah, it was a really beautiful, eye-opening conversation. So a bit more about Mistress Wild Iris. She's a Silicon Valley-based dominatrix specializing in catharsis and transformation through BDSM. Her decade-long practice centers around the idea that surrender, softening, and receptivity is half of the puzzle of both men and women. Through practicing surrender, she believes we can better learn to receive the divine into our lives. And yeah, I really invite you to just listen to this conversation with an open mind, with an open heart. There's a lot of stigma that is tied to this kind of work, but Iris is such a beautiful soul that feels deeply called to this path. And it's really powerful to hear her story and her perspective. And yeah, I just really ask that, yeah, you listen with an open mind. And if you feel uncomfortable, that's okay. Just get curious about what's coming up for you, because it's uncomfortable to talk about these things because we never talk about these things. So these conversations around sex are needed now more than ever, because sex is it can be a beautiful thing. It's a sacred experience, and we're meant to experience pleasure. It's not meant to be dirty or shameful. But so many of the things that have happened in our past, and it being so hush hush, is causing it to be so dense, for lack of a better word. And I feel like we really need to learn how to embrace it in a healthy and conscious way and have these honest conversations, especially from a young age, so we can remove that shame and that secrecy. So, yeah, with that, let's dive into the episode. All right. Well, welcome to the podcast, Iris. I'm so excited to chat with you today. How are
Thanks,
you?
Holly. I'm good. I'm feeling really good. Feeling excited to be
Good.
here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like this is such an important conversation, just because I feel like sex and pleasure and desire are such taboo topics in today's society. And there's just so much shame, guilt, secrecy. And I just feel such like heavy energy surrounding this space, simply because we just don't talk about sex. It's very like out of sight, out of mind, like secret.
Yeah.
And I really believe that creating safe and sacred containers for people to explore their sexuality and maybe like move through some stored shame and maybe understand their desires in a consensual and supportive way could be deeply healing, like when it's done with intention and done in integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just really excited to just hear more about the work that you do, because I'm new to
Mm-hmm.
like learning about this, but I was like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this would be a really interesting conversation. So yeah, I'd just love to start by just hearing about your personal story, like what led you to this work? How did you find yourself stepping into the role of dominatrix, and like kind of a guide for sexual exploration and healing?
Yeah. Thanks, Holly. Well, it was
Yeah.
very unexpected to me that I was going to get into this. I would not say that I had experienced any kind of uh, sexual. I mean, I was a late bloomer,
Yeah.
and the idea came very suddenly one day while I was taking a nap. This idea, it was like the voice of God spoke to me, and it said, be an herbalist dominatrix. And I had until that point in my kind of snoozy, drifty, dreamy state been thinking about a friend who was suffering a lot. He had alopecia areata, where his hair was falling out in clumps, and he was just under so much stress. And I had been thinking about him a lot in those days, just wondering, like wondering why he was in such intense stress, why he was not able to work through it, why he was not able to stick to any like regime to or regimen to help him shift
Mm-hmm.
whatever was going on. It seemed like everything that was coming to him was very superficial, and nothing was hitting to the core of where um, nothing rattled him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking how, for me, who's somebody who's obsessed with herbal medicine and loves the plants and loves the healing process and had been undergoing my own healing processes. I was 25, I think, or 26 at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I'd been undergoing maybe 4 years of pretty intense healing processes at that point. And I just wanted the tools to be able to help him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, through dom work, through BDSM, I would be able to see really clearly what was happening in the core of his psyche, see what the ailment was, where he was not able to receive life, receive the direction from the divine, from his higher self, and where he was staying in this perpetual cycle of stress and alienation and um, just ill health. And through whatever practices, I was thinking herbs at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I could, through the dom work, through the BDSM, I could see what was happening and then shift it with him, hold him accountable,
Mm-hmm.
because that's at the time what I thought that the dom work was all about, holding somebody accountable,
Mm-hmm.
which I think it can be. I think it's very hard in my particular arena where you're seeing clients and you're seeing them sporadically. It's hard to have that same kind of accountability relationship with somebody there, and we'll touch on that later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I realized that to see it to the core of somebody's psyche, I needed more skills. And the dom work was the most um, cutting modality that I could think of. I didn't want to be just talking about somebody's issues with them. I didn't want to go into the therapist role.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to actually be in it with them and
Mm-hmm.
get into the play where we could see what was happening in their psyche unfold,
Mm-hmm.
and then unfold it into something new, into a new arena where they could see life differently, where they could work with the dark material of whatever they'd been avoiding, which the avoidance is often what leads to the stress, and ultimately the hair falling out. And yeah, so I decided, okay, the voice told me I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do it. So I pursued it and told friends that I was going to do it, and eventually found a place in Emeryville. It's called The Gates. It's a hell house for women. Do not recommend it to anybody. But it was a very powerful place to start, where I had a lot of sessions, was around a lot of women who were learning how to do this work. And a lot of it was being done beautifully, and a lot of it was being done from a very tortured state, which I think a lot of what is out there is unfortunately um, the replication of people's own, or like the enactment of people's own traumas that are going on without resolution. People are,
Right.
I have the very core belief that people are constantly trying to heal, and
Right.
that we take on we do so many different things to try to heal, whether that's go into dom work, or whether that's um, be a therapist where you're really trying to go through the different levels of the psyche and trying to understand, or start a land project and join a community, have a
Mm-hmm.
podcast, like whatever it is, we're trying to come into balance. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
is. I think that that's just a core human drive. And
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, we are often really, um, it can take a long time to
Mm-hmm.
to work through the material that comes up in order to get to that healed place, or in order to have resolution for any particular issue. So I have been in this industry for 10 years. It's coming up on my 10-year anniversary in September, and it's been a really powerful and really intense journey, both in terms of the incredible beauty and catharsis and resolution that I've experienced with people and facilitated with people, and in terms of my own trauma and my own issues that I have perpetuated for many years and eventually just seen come to light and been able to resolve them. And it's been a really, really intense wild ride. Um, but
Yeah.
really, really beautiful, but also
Yeah.
very intense. And I
Yeah.
feel
I can
like,
imagine.
yeah, the longer I'm in it, the more I realize how intense it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it's in the underworld, it's in the world of shadows, where not everything is really, it's not always clear exactly what we're doing, because we're going into play, and we're going into our
Right.
archetypes, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily so cut and dry as like an interaction that we might have on the everyday basis, because it is compartmentalized, and
Mm-hmm.
containered, at least as containered as we humans know how to make things.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to make something just in a container, even though that is the goal of the work. It's to put
Mm-hmm.
something into a container, and uh, dive into it, suspend disbelief, and dive into play. And through that play, at least in the ideal, we can just go into whatever comes up. We
Mm-hmm.
can suspend who we are. We can suspend our egos and really get into a new way of looking at things, which is so
Yeah.
powerful and so
Yeah.
beautiful. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's so
it's
interesting.
been a wild ride. Definitely not a straightforward ride, but I don't know. I don't think anything is a very straightforward ride.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like nothing in life is
no,
linear. It's all just
no.
like, yeah. But that's so interesting. I love that you described it as like an arena. And I do feel like it's almost like the shadow, like it's like the
Mhm.
shadow. It's like what people don't look at. So, like, you're quite
Mhm.
literally, I feel like, kind of going into the shadow work from a
Mhm.
in a different way that's like getting to the core of, because so many people have sexual trauma, sexual
Mhm.
abuse, so much suppression around sex. So
Mhm.
you're really diving into something that's like untapped, that feels
Yeah.
like unsafe. And I think that I love that you touched on too that, some people getting in this work are getting into it from a place of their own wounds,
Mhm.
like being aware of that. But I feel like I wanted to talk to you because I feel like a sense of like integrity with you. Like I just had
Mm-hmm.
full body chills as I was like reading about it,
Mm,
and like how you said you got that message, clear sign you
mm-hmm.
feel like from God. I got full body
Yeah.
chills, and it's like because we need people in this work because it's really
Mm-hmm.
heavy, dense work, and like I feel like
Yeah.
there's so much healing that can happen from
There
it, from
is.
helping people like in that space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think that it's so important to like really understand what dominatrix is too, because I think
Mm-hmm.
people hear it and they don't really understand. And I think that there
Mm-hmm.
is so much, there can be harm that's perpetuated, but I do believe that there can be so much
Yeah.
healing when done like in a safe,
Absolutely.
sacred container. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like you kind of like I mentioned in the beginning, I feel like there's so much shame, so much guilt, so much misunderstanding and heavy energy around like
Mm-hmm.
sex, sexual kinks, BDSM. So yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective. Like, how do you see this work as a portal for healing, for breakthroughs, for like personal empowerment for
Mm-hmm.
men and for women?
Yeah. Thanks. And thank you for those reflections. I really appreciate it. Um,
Yeah.
well, I would say so. Starting out with the question of what is the dominatrix? The dom is the whether it's a dom, a man being in that role, or dominatrix or domina, a woman being in that role. It's the one who holds the scene. They're the ones that it's this it's there's a polarized dynamic between the submissive and the dominant, and whereas two people might come together normally and they're both holding on to all their power, they're in this delightful power exchange that sometimes may be challenging, sometimes might be easy. But they, in a scene, people are really, they're laying their power out on the table and they're saying, you take this and you hold this. And I say I'm the submissive. I surrender myself to your direction and to receiving what you have to give to me. And then the dominant takes that, they hold it, and they hold it preciously, and they direct. They are holding on to the innocence and the magnitude of the submissive, and deciding what exactly they're going to give to them, what they want them to take in, how they can facilitate this person opening.
Mm,
And the submissive has to intentionally, depending on how easy it is for them, they have to intentionally soften and open to receive the dominant. And
mhm,
I would say that what we do in the BDSM session, I'm a pretty spiritual person, and I think that the dominant is akin to God, and the submissive is akin to the person that wants to surrender to God, and they want to open up to the divine. And not saying that we as the dominant are going to ever be God, but we're learning,
yeah,
they're facilitating the ultimate trust of this person, to open up and to be able to receive whatever God has to give to you, whatever the divine has to give to you. And it's um, yeah. And so then the dominant, through their toolkit, will give this person, will do various physical, emotional, mental work to help them open up. And whether that is intense, like corporal sensation, whether it's like intense pain or intense pleasure, and or through verbal, like more mental stuff like humiliation or role play, they help them enter a new frame of mind where they have to open. They have to open up to receive. And yeah, I think that that receptivity, that feminine principle, is so challenging for many people. And my clients are, I would say, 95% men.
mhm,
Um, and it can be challenging to soften and receive. And it can also be challenging for women, that so many women are, especially these days, are enculturated into feminist ideals of being more in our masculine and being more in that dominant giving, big, needing to take care of everything, being independent, not being able to receive. And we become dehydrated. We become soulfully, spiritually dehydrated. And so
mhm,
that softening is the ability, softening makes it so that we're able to receive, and so that we're also able to let go of
mhm,
what doesn't work, let go um, of the paradigms that we have in our mind that don't work, let go of physically. When we're dehydrated on a physical level, we're holding on to waste. We're holding on to, literally constipated. And we can get
Yeah.
spiritually constipated, and we can get spiritually dehydrated where we're actually not able to receive the blessings that life has to give us. And so we're walking around in this very like desert like state, where we need to just output and give and do. Both men and women are in this state. And so the Domina helps facilitate the softening, and they do it together. They do it in a unison. It's an energetic bond that's happening. It's an energy flow. And yeah, it can be very extremely powerful, because you're entering into a liminal state that is um, it's like a psychedelic journey or a dream, a trance state, where anything can go. And we can bring up stories, like in the role play scenario I was mentioning. We can bring up stories of power dynamics where there was abuse, like whether it was a childhood thing or a relational thing, or any other dynamic that where there was a misuse of power. And we can go into that, and we can drive ourselves into that, and we can go deeper into that, and we can resolve it through deciding to go into what we otherwise held ourselves away from. And yeah, there's a difficulty of many people. I mean, we live in a very bizarrely sexualized culture, where it's like hypersexuality. Sexuality is in everything. It's in like, you like look at a person selling a bag, and they're like half naked or like naked. It's like, what about like,
Yeah.
it's just about the bag, or like mayonnaise, and
Yeah.
they're like kind of smearing it on their bodies. It's like, what are we doing? And at the
Yeah.
same
Like
time,
sex sells.
sex
Yeah.
is sex is everywhere. It's everywhere.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it can be very challenging for us to know, what does it look like to interact with sexuality in a healthy way. I think that many people
Right.
of our generation, their parents were not like, there was a lot of weirdness around sexuality in our parents' generation, and so we don't really know what it looks like to interact with it in a relaxed way. What does it look like to have a relaxed and not excessively, like, we don't want to involve necessarily the world around us in our sexuality, like ultra exhibitionism. But what does it look like to have a really like softly relaxed sexuality? And yeah, and when we're avoiding it, when we're avoiding our sexuality, we can't. It's like you can't relax around what you're avoiding.
So yeah, I feel like it's so powerful. Yeah, like what you said, I feel like our parents' generation, the older generations, I feel like there just wasn't conversations around sex. It was more kind
Mm-hmm.
of like out of sight, out of mind. This is kind of like you do this in the state of your own home, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
But I work with a lot of women like healing their relationships with themselves, their bodies, and food, and like naturally sexual abuse comes up. Like I know
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
almost every woman has a story around sexual abuse,
Mm-hmm.
and oftentimes it happens either like within the family or a close family friend.
Yeah.
There's some sort of abuse, and it's like, okay, do we see, like, we have to start talking about these things because it is
Mm-hmm.
so taboo and it is everywhere. But how can we come back to doing it in a healthy way? It
Mm-hmm.
starts with like conversations. And I think that like we just avoid these kinds of conversations at all costs because it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortable to be uncomfortable. But
Mm-hmm.
if we don't have the courage to talk about these things, sexual abuse is just going to continue to happen over
Yeah.
and over and over again. And it's like, where does it end? It ends when we
Mm-hmm.
like have these conversations and like help. A lot of the people that perpetuate this sexual abuse have also been sexually abused. So it's like, okay, how can we dive into that and
Mm-hmm.
like get curious about it? So I think even like in the work that you do, even with like the the scenarios of like playing
Mm-hmm.
out old scenarios that may have happened, like that could be so healing. Do you feel like are there like any emotional releases that come up for people as you're
Mm-hmm.
going through kind of like the role play? Because I can imagine that
Mm-hmm.
there would be.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it has me have this image of somebody who's just holding on to a lot of stress. It's kind of like our skin becomes, um, it's like with a pressure cooker. We become like a pressure cooker when we're holding
Yeah.
on to a lot.
Mhm.
And through, yeah, through like deeply scratching these issues and like opening up the surface,
Mhm.
um, there's absolutely release, and there's a softening of the body, and we can sweat it out. We can sweat out these issues. It's kind of like I'm just having this feeling of it being like a fever state,
Mm.
where when you take something, there's a class of herbal medicine called diaphoretics, which
Mm.
like include yarrow and elderflower and catnip, and they make the person sweat. And so when you
Okay.
get into that state of intense fever, sweating can be a great way to relieve it. And that is exactly what we're doing here. We're helping the body open up so that you're not just trapped in this feverish haze of having something boiling up within inside of you. You're actually able to let it through and have the culmination and the catharsis experience. Yeah, and I think that there's a great difficulty first in feeling like it's okay to explore these kinds of things within partnership,
Mm-hmm.
and which I think is part of the rise of why we see people coming to dominas and dominatrixes, because they want to have it in a safe container.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps they don't know how to talk about these things with their partner, or they don't know what it could look like to surrender, or to go through to do role play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for the people that are wanting to explore, I would encourage people as much as possible to explore with their partners. I think that is just, it can be the healthiest, most connective thing. And there's something that happens at the beginning of every scene called a negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where, even if I know the person that I'm playing with, we talk about what is it that we're going to be getting into. How do you want to feel during our time together? Do you want to feel cherished? Do you want to feel vulnerable? Do you want to feel humiliated? Do you want to feel totally exposed? Do you want to feel like prodded at? Do you want to feel super delicate? So that's one thing. And number two, if I was a fly on the wall, what would this look like? What are you yearning for? What is the scene? Whether it's the scene that you're talking about for your clients of like family trauma or relational trauma, what does that scene look like? And how do I either want to go into that scene holding the person? So say it's a scene of sexual abuse and I am the perpetrator. Am I going to be replicating what that fly on the wall would have seen years ago? Am I going to replicate that exactly and go into that and just hold that, but from a place where ultimately that person does have control? The person that is being abused does have control to stop it if they want to, which
Mm-hmm.
is what makes a big difference. They can
Right.
stop it as soon as they give the safe word.
Mm-hmm.
And the safe word is, of course, the word that you can say at any point when you've reached your edge. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't stop necessarily the whole play, but it tells the person that you're interacting with, I'm at my edge. I can't hold anymore. You can either keep it right here at this level of intensity or back down a little bit, but I'm still giving you the power, but I am alerting you to where I'm at. And of course, there is another word. I use yellow for that, and red would be, we need to stop the scene. I am way in over my head, and we don't want to get there. We want to get to the point where both people are still in their bodies. They're still consciously enacting what's going on, but we're getting to the point
Mm-hmm.
where we're at the cauldron is boiling and we don't
Right.
need to be spilling over. Don't want to end the scene. So we can either, coming back to that, we can either replicate what was happening in the previous situation of abuse, and I'm like going along with my perpetration, or we can replicate it to an extent, but then you fight back. You, like, maybe you as the victim, as the one that was perpetrated upon, maybe you fight back and maybe you defeat me. Like, what is it that you would like to see as the shift in the story? Because we can
Mm-hmm.
shift the story however you want it. So if we're making a scene that is for trauma release and trauma review and rewriting the story, we can make it whatever you want. We can just
Mm-hmm.
totally rewrite it, or we can go along with it. And then at a certain point, I'm holding you after doing it because you were never held after being spanked by your parent, for example. What is it that would really be nourishing? What would be healing for you? And you get to write that into the script. And
Yeah.
so I think that there's a fear that by talking about what we really want, that we're going to take the magic away from that thing. That somehow our partner should spontaneously, because we love them, because they love us, that they should know exactly what we need and what we want. And that's so unrealistic. And it's
Mhm.
like when we do talk about down to a fine detail, when we talk about what we really need, um, there's such great opportunity for connection,
Mhm.
and we're not going to have such micromanaged scripts in our like in every sexual encounter that we have or every interaction. But if we're designing a scene that is for a very particular purpose, we can make it as finely scripted as possible, which is probably a better thing to do when there's some kind of intense trauma that was lived through.
Mhm.
Or we can have it be very general, like, I just want to feel tossed around like a helpless doll, like, use me, like, have fun with me. I just want to feel like adored and cherished and used. And you can
Mhm.
make it that can be the extent of it. Um,
Mhm.
but I think the more that we can introduce our psyche to the person that we're with, the person that loves us and cares for us,
Mhm.
there's such a greater likelihood that we'll be met. And
Yeah.
it won't actually take away from our dynamic. It will bring us so much closer. And I think we really want to know the people that we're with. Like, we're with them because we
Yeah.
want to know them, and we want to be
Right.
transformed through our relationship with them. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think
So
that's so important.
I think that um, I think that people will wonder, like, when would I have that kind of conversation? And I would just say that it's either you can have it completely out of the context of your scene encounter or your bedroom encounter or wherever you're going to have it. You can have it very separated, or you can have it right as you're about to start. And just, I would say, just stay in your own persona. Like, don't get into a character while you're in that negotiation. Have it be super level headed, super clear, super grounded. And once you decide, okay, we're going to begin, that's when you get into your sexy mode. The negotiation's not about you being sexy or sexual or anything. It's about having a conversation and getting to really be clear with the other person. And then
Mhm.
you can also get clear on what are the dom's expectations of you. Like, does your dom, if you start laughing in the scene, will your dom, like, will that take away from them feeling like they have power? If you start
Mhm.
being bratty in the scene, will that make it so that they don't want to do it anymore? You
Mhm.
really want to get to know each other's expectations, your desires, both of those.
Mhm.
And um, yeah, and then you can play from there.
Yeah. I think that's so important to, yeah, like encourage people that are in relationships if you're wanting more, like to explore a little bit more, like bring that conversation to your partner and, like try to have those conversations because I think so often it's just like so uncomfortable. Like people just don't even want
Mm-hmm.
to talk about sex. And I think it's like, your partners who you're with, like that's the person who you should feel most comfortable with. So if you're uncomfortable having that conversation, what is that within you, and how can you sit with yourself and like let yourself
Mm-hmm.
know that you're safe to like express your needs. It's
Mm-hmm.
safe for you to express your needs. And I think there's so much solid foundation and strong connection that can be built within relationships when you are vulnerable enough to share like what you want and what you
Mm-hmm.
like need, because it's natural. I think we see sex as like a dirty, it can be seen as like dirty, like shameful, but it's like it's supposed to be playful and enjoyed and like desirable. So like how can we bring that pleasure in like with your partner? And it's a beautiful practice to like explain, yeah, like speak out your needs and speak out what you're wanting. But I think, yeah, we just like beat around the bush and then turn to porn or turn
Mm-hmm.
to sex, go to a dominatrix or go to
Mm-hmm.
a strip club or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, because like feeling shameful of I don't feel like I can bring this to my partner because I'll be judged or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just think it's such an invitation to like start trying to like have that open conversation first and foremost with yourself, like get clear on what
Mm-hmm.
you're wanting to explore and then bringing that to your partner if you're in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um and something I wanted to say too, when you brought up the body, like the sweating, I think that's so powerful because I'm into holistic health, holistic healing, and it's like we have to heal through the body. Like the mind can't solve the mind's problems. Like we
Yeah.
have to heal through the body. So like the body having that physical reaction is actually so healing for the body, like releasing that trauma, releasing that energy
Yeah.
through the body. And it's similar to when you do a plant medicine ceremony, specifically ayahuasca. It's like your body, maybe you'll be shaking, maybe you'll start sweating or actually have to purge or go to the bathroom. It's like it's releasing through your physical body because
Yeah.
that's how we heal. You know, it
Yeah.
has to be done through the body. So yeah, I just love
I
that
mean,
you brought that in.
and taking it to the extreme point where we are sweating and we
Mhm.
are trembling and we are in a fervor, it's like
Mhm.
that is the spot. That is
Yeah.
the spot of healing. That's the spot of catharsis. That's the spot of being able to see what our blocks were, taking it
Mhm.
to the point where we can barely take it anymore and just holding it there at like a level 7 out of 10. Like
Mhm.
that is where the healing happens. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen at the 2, it doesn't happen at the 10. The 10 is
Mhm.
too much. We can't integrate that. We can't digest that. The
Right.
1, the 2, the 3, it's like, well, that's a good warm up. But we need
Mhm.
to be able to really go through the catharsis. It needs to get intense. And there needs to
Mhm.
be enough logs for that fire to burn so that, so that the phoenix can actually be emoliated and
Yeah.
be destroyed into ashes. We can't, it's not the half burned log that will rise as the phoenix, it's
Mhm.
the ashes. We need to
Yeah.
be able to get entirely there, but that takes trust, and that takes a slow approach into getting into that spot, especially when there are issues that are really, really deep.
Right.
um, that requires a lot of communication, whether it's like physical or verbal communication,
Mhm.
energetic communication, or just like slowly moving. Like if you're going to be flogging somebody, you warm up the back slowly, like a feather with a feathered finger touch, and then you
Mhm.
slowly move into your implement slowly, slowly, so that over the process of a half an hour you can eventually just like whack, and with each
Mhm.
whack it's driving them deeper and deeper and deeper into their psyche, where suddenly there'll be this clarity of like, oh, this is how I've been mistreating myself, this is the story that I have, this is what I'm doing that's not working.
Mhm.
There will be this point, and you hold it there, and you hold it lovingly and
Right.
with lots of sensitivity for how the person's doing, but you don't back down when the person's like having their sweating moment. You have to stay in the sweat, which can be uncomfortable. I mean, it's been uncomfortable for me in the past, to
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
is this person actually going through catharsis, or am I wounding them?
Right,
And
right,
that's why
right.
when you're moving at this slow pace, you can much better tell if which one it is. And
Mhm.
yeah, and of course people always have their safe word. So as soon as it's like, if you can't quite tell, they can always tell you. It's
Mhm.
it's okay, and it's so important as a submissive to speak what's happening for you. Because
Right.
people in their submissive state can go mute, and they think, I should take whatever is given to me. I need to take it. And that can that can be helpful, and that can, because you stay with it, but that can also be a perpetuation of the
Yeah.
trauma of being voiceless and of
Yeah, like it's
not being able to speak for yourself.
right. Yeah. Like not being able to speak your needs, like
Mhm.
perpetuating that. But I think that that's also like so powerful of creating a safe enough space for someone to go there so it's not re-traumatizing. It's
Mhm.
so much dependent on the dominatrix,
Mhm.
like to be
Mhm.
able to hold that safe container. And that's why I think going into this work with such deep intention, like I feel like as a
Mhm.
calling, it's like you like being able to actually have the energy and capacity to hold what that other person is bringing in a safe sacred container, so
Mhm.
it's a safe space for them to go there because
Mhm.
they one know that they're not alone, know that they're not being judged, where that's like
Mhm.
so often like what holds people back.
This episode is brought to you by the Beehive. Holly and I created this online space with such deep intention because we know how lonely and isolating the healing journey can be. And what we've truly come to know is the importance of a safe community that understands you. We've both experienced the power of being witnessed, held, and supported, and that's where true healing happens. The Beehive is a grounded, heart-led space rooted in connection, reflection, growth, authenticity, and self-love. It's a community built on grounded spirituality, not bypassing, but coming home to yourself through your body, your truth, and your lived experience. While we honor the magic of the mystical, we also know the importance of staying rooted. Inside, you'll find real tools, embodiment practices, and a community of like-minded people who get it. It's a safe space where all are welcome, where your wisdom, your struggles, and your growth are honored. If you've been craving a down-to-earth space to heal, grow, and feel supported, we'd love to welcome you into the Hive. Only $22 USD a month. Link in the show notes to join. We hope to see you there.
I think that's also beautiful that you can create an atmosphere for someone to feel safe enough to go there,
Mm-hmm.
because it can oftentimes feel so scary, and like kind of holding it, widening that capacity to hold the discomfort, because we've got to sit through the discomfort and hold it with compassion and love and understanding for it to
Mm-hmm.
kind of move through,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where
Mm-hmm.
so much healing can happen. So yeah, I'm just getting a visual of just like holding that safe container while someone's like deeply processing
Mm-hmm.
what's coming up, just with that loving, nurturing kind of
Yeah.
energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't need to be their mom. We don't need to try to
Mm.
resolve it for them. We don't even need to ask, how are you doing?
Right.
We don't need
Yeah.
to like say, is there anything I can do for you? Just hold it. Just keep doing exactly what you're doing. At that
Hmm.
point, you just become the vessel and
Yeah.
the means for them to be able to go through whatever they're going through. It's not about you and them. It's about them. And so
Hmm.
it's interesting. There's the whole like, oh, the dominatrix is power obsessed. She's the one that holds all the power. It's like, no, she is wildly empathetic. She is feeling the submissive, and
Hmm.
she's the one that is just navigating that energy and deciding where she wants to take it. And
Hmm.
she will end it as soon as she wants to, and as soon as you have to just feel the other person. You don't like get merged with them. That's of course
Hmm.
not healthy to be in that kind of inappropriate relationship where you're merging with them. You're
Hmm.
always separate, but you're feeling what's going on and staying in your power to direct.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think too, that's probably where intuition comes in. The more you're
Mm-hmm.
tapped into your intuition, the more that you can like feel what is
Yeah.
net to be next,
Yeah.
like feel what that person actually needs. So, and I think women are so, when we're connected with ourselves, we're connected to our intuition, able to like really
Mm-hmm.
feel how things need to go. So, yeah, I can imagine intuition is a huge piece and component to this
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I want to just dive into, so I just feel like, there's so much sexual abuse, kind of like what we talked about, and just like harm being perpetuated in the world. And just like sexual energy is so often like misused and or repressed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, like having a safe, sacred container for someone to explore this, I would think that that would kind of lead to less harm out in the world. So
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that and see that in the work that you do? Like, do you feel that as well?
Yeah, I think it depends on the container, and it really depends on what that person is hoping to do in their experience.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, there's absolutely the the potential to resolve issues that would otherwise be perpetuated. And
Mhm.
it's I have this there's been so much exposure about pedophilia these days and about
Yeah.
child sex trafficking and the just the I think that this is an age old issue. I think it's been happening for millennia, but we have so much decentralized media these days that is exposing what's happening. So
Mhm.
we are in the know much more than we have been historically. I don't think that there probably is more these days, but we are knowing what is happening. And with that exposure, there's also like the people are that are perpetuating those crimes against innocence, against the children. This is a potential place for them, rather than to go out and seek to play out, whether subconsciously they're being driven to do this, or like very consciously they're being possessed by some evil force to go out and do this. This is an opportunity for them to play it out, and transform it. It's yeah, I don't have many role plays that people ask for like very young dynamics, and
Mhm.
it's I mean I don't know I it was actually for me, it was since the whole like Puff Daddy scandal started coming out about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and all the stuff with Epstein, that it just became so clear what the darkness is in
Mm-hmm.
that particular realm of humanity. And it's I mean, to the point that it was too much for me to even explore with people, just feeling that it's so disgusting.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
such a gross energy. Yeah.
it's so disgusting.
Yeah.
It's so evil.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and previously I had just thought, okay, well, I'm just going to explore it with my clients, whatever they want to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it would be like a abusive mommy dynamic with like her son, and it's, I don't know, sometimes people are really wanting to explore with the sake of like transforming it, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people are wanting to explore because otherwise they would be going after like young girls or like
Right.
young boys or whatever it is. And I had a session once where it seemed like, oh my God, you are wanting to enact this with me because otherwise you would be doing this. And
Mm-hmm.
it was so awful. It was so
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's the thing though. That's like how I feel like that's almost the power of this work though,
it
like it would be
is.
so dark to hold that. Like I can't
Yeah.
imagine. Like I have so much compassion for you. I cannot
I
imagine,
had
but
to
it's
do a
like
lot of clearing after that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that's where like
Yeah.
like if this is service, of a way of like, okay,
Yeah.
so they don't go out and perpetuate this. I'm the
Yeah.
vessel. This is like for them to reenact, and that's so
Mhm.
fucking hard. I can't
Yeah.
even imagine.
Yeah, to the point that I just don't do it anymore. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to take this on for you. Like
Yeah.
but it's like how else will they be how else will they be
Exactly.
interacting with this energy? I don't have to do that. And that's part
Yeah.
of what I've learned in my healing process. Like, oh, somebody needs this. I don't have to sign up for it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't have to be that person with them. But there are ways to clear it.
Yeah.
There's a
Hmm.
whole there's a whole energy that is out there that you can clear from yourself, and we don't need to take that on. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is also when people want to get into that deep dark, super dark work, that you have to come prepared. You have to come
Yeah.
prepared to be able
Yeah.
to rid yourself of that like filth afterwards.
Right.
Because
I can imagine.
it's something that comes, people, it is in our collective psyche. And so some people, because they've either been exposed to it through their personal experiences or through the internet, the internet is so much beauty, so much connectivity, and so many demons, so much
Hmm.
evil out there. And so,
Right.
we stumble upon it.
Hmm.
And yeah, just like I stumbled upon all the Puff Daddy stuff and the like the Epstein stuff on the internet.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so we have to, I think, just learning how to keep yourself liberated from the demonic forces is a really important thing if you're going to be going into these dark shadow spaces, because you
Hmm.
will pick up stuff, whether it's
Yeah.
from your own childhood that's showing itself, or through your clients. um,
Hmm.
and that's not to say that that's the majority of the work. I wouldn't, you have to be very selective about what you're taking on, but that's absolutely there.
Yeah, because I can imagine, yeah, like you would need to call on like divine protection to
Mhm.
really support
Mhm.
the energy field to make sure you're not taking that on. Like
Mhm.
even with the simple stuff, like what I do with my clients, the conversations that I have diving into, really hard things. It's like I cleanse and clear
Yeah.
myself, my body
Mhm.
energetically before and
Mhm.
after.
Yeah.
So going into something too that like is so kind of dense is like sexual
Mhm.
energy, especially when it comes to pedophilia.
Mhm.
I can imagine like needing to like, whoa, like really have
Mhm.
strong energetic boundaries
Yeah.
in that case.
Mhm.
We're interrupting this episode to share something close to our hearts, our virtual healing circles. We have been loving them so much and meeting so many of you incredible people through them. Brittany and I are passionate about bringing people together to support one another and heal in community. We felt alone on our paths for so long, and coming together in community has been instrumental to our growth, and we've both seen the importance in it. We aren't meant to do this alone. In unity, community and vulnerability, we find strength, courage, and support each other on our paths back to ourselves. Our monthly virtual seminars blend discussions, workshops, and practices to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Whether seeking guidance, healing, or a listening ear, our gatherings offer a safe, inclusive space for people to connect, heal, and grow. Join us on this journey of healing and community. Together we can heal, grow, and thrive. Register for the next circle using the link in the show notes. We hope to see you there. Because yeah, it's like we need spaces for these people, but it's like absolutely you, like that drew a line for you. Like, no, I'm not going to take that on. And I totally respect that. Absolutely. But then it's like, how do we, like creating containers for people, even just like speaking about it, not even having, I just think there needs to be something. And oftentimes these are also stemming from wounds from these people that are perpetuating that kind of stuff. So it's like, how can this cycle end?
Yeah.
But I feel like this could be an avenue for some people,
Well,
for
it
people
depends.
that feel called to that.
Yeah, and it depends. Do they want it to end, or do they just
Right.
want to? Do they just want to play it out again? Are they just wanting to
Yeah.
play it out over and over and over and over and over again, or do they want it to end?
Yeah.
And that's where the
Mhm.
intention of the person that has these demons or has this astral energy is how I look at it. They want it to end, and are they really
Mhm.
clear about wanting to end? Are they asking for support and assistance, or are they asking to perpetuate it?
Right.
And so if
'Cause
they're
yeah.
asking it to end, I'm
Mhm.
here for it. I will go into that with somebody. But if they're asking to just to play it out again and again, I don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause can you talk a little bit about, I guess, like the intention going in? 'Cause obviously some people
Mhm.
seek this out as healing, and I feel like it can be very healing, but I'm sure that's not everyone's intention.
Mhm.
So, yeah, if you want to touch a bit on like intention, I guess, going into
Yeah.
a
Well,
session.
intention's huge. And so I'll start with myself because that's what I'm saying yes to.
Mhm.
I know that my intention is to facilitate catharsis and transformation through people, with people and for people through BDSM and body work, and using all the tools that I have to facilitate that process. And things that are not in that line, like, I don't know, I used to do a lot more fetish play, or like goddess worship, where for years I was just like, I just am so curious, like, what do people want to do? This is so weird. Like, there's so many avenues that people want to get
Mhm.
into and to get into their intimate psyche. Like,
Mhm.
there's such a Pandora's box.
Mhm.
And I was just so curious for a long time. And I I didn't start with that was not my intention going into it. My initial intention that was given to me, the
Mhm.
direction that was given to me, was to support people's process of catharsis and transformation. It's very straightforward, it's very simple.
Mhm.
And so through all of my trials and tribulations and windy roads that were through heaven and hell alike, I eventually realized I need to get really specific about what I'm willing to do
Right.
and not do things that do not like explicitly support that intention, that are not explicitly in line with that intention. And so that's involved. I came to this realization earlier. I thought I was back last year. I thought I needed to go on a break. I thought I just needed to end the work because I was like, I'm getting burned out. I'm not interested in my clients anymore. I'm feeling disgusted when they email me.
Mm.
Not all of them. There are definitely some that I'm like, yes, love what we do. But like
Yeah.
with a lot of them, I'm just like, ew, like I don't want to do that. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna end this work soon. Like I'll just keep taking the sessions that come to me. And I was just like, oh my God. I was done. And then
Mhm.
in January of this last year, I went to um a there's a where are you located?
I'm in Santa Cruz.
Oh, cool. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So I went up to Sebastopol, actually. There's a school called
Okay.
Diana, the Diana Center up in Sebastopol.
Okay.
And there's the woman that runs the center, Deanna Batdorf, is fantastic, crazy healer. And
Mhm.
holds this, she holds a workshop, I think several times a year, that is all about putting the uterus back into place and doing breast massage, like lymphatic massage, getting cysts out of the breasts and um, getting just everything moving within the breast so that there's really good energetic flow. And
Mhm.
also getting just like easy flow within the uterus and all, like the whole pelvic bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized during that weekend intensive of learning how to do these practices that I was allowing way too much into my sphere, that I was just having way too many interactions with people that caused me to seize up and protect myself. And it was really jarring. And I brought on so much shame for I had so much shame. I was so overwhelmed with the amount of shame that I had about my choices.
Yeah.
And I worked through it by deciding to get back to my original intention.
Yeah.
To get
Oh,
back to my original intention by like remembering why, the reasons why, my curiosity was why, and that why I decided to do things that were outside of my original intention, quote unquote, and that's okay. That's
right.
part of my learning process. That's part of my growth process, and that's brought me
Yeah.
to who I am now.
Right. Part of
Um,
your journey.
part of my journey,
Absolutely.
part of my
Mm-hmm.
journey,
Yeah.
and yeah. But the important thing was to get back to the kernel of my intention. And that kernel for me is, as I've already spoken to, and to not do anything besides that. Only do that with people.
Right.
Only get into those scenes. And so when I get emails or texts from people that are wanting to do anything outside of that, it's a no. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't do that. So that's my side of the equation.
That's
That's my
beautiful. It
intention.
feels like, yeah, your boundary too.
It's
Like
my
you need to have
boundary.
boundaries.
And
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
challenging within this industry when there's so much money being thrown around, so
Right.
many offers,
I'm
and
sure.
it requires a great deal of trust from me, I guess, of
Mm-hmm.
of the support from the divine, from life,
Yeah.
to support me as I'm moving into whatever this next sphere holds, this next
Yeah.
paradigm holds. For
I feel like
clients, uh-huh,
I feel like too, real quick, like
sure.
I feel like that's a beautiful way for you to stay in integrity.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that's
truly.
like saying no when you mean no and trusting that
Mhm.
this is your calling, and if
Mhm.
this is your calling, you will be supported
Absolutely.
financially.
Yep.
So like keeping yourself in integrity with this work, it's
Yeah.
like that having your boundaries, that's huge. So I
Mhm.
just want to acknowledge that because I'm sure that would be really difficult.
Mhm.
But every time you say no when you mean no, it's like keeping that
It's really
integrity,
good.
keeping
It
that.
feels really
Yeah.
good. It feels really,
Yeah.
really good. And I've had one job in my life. I was an intern somewhere when I was 21, and the rest of the time I've been self-employed, and that has been my paradigm. I will
Yeah.
be protected in the work that I'm meant to do. Like I will be
Mhm.
provided for in the work that I'm, and it's true. It's
Right.
always been true. And there's massive ups and there's massive downs, but
Mhm.
overall there's always what what is needed to make ends meet. So never do not do anything that is not in alignment with the kernel intention. And that can
Mhm.
express itself in so many ways. I also teach
Right.
herbal classes, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, I do energy clearings, and it's like there's so many ways that we can put our love, our work into the world, and it's important to work. Like we are
Mhm.
put here to bring heaven to earth. Like that's like I think that's what we do as humans.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so that's stay clear on your own intention. What is the mission? What are you here to facilitate for the
Mhm.
world? And in what ways will you do that? And so
Mhm.
for clients, they will have intentions too. Like we all have intentions when we're meeting with people, spoken or unspoken. And I think we can sense into the intention of the people that we're interacting with.
Right.
Sometimes it's super explicit, super clear, and sometimes it's really not. Um, but if clients, they might have their intention in deciding, like why this is why they decide to reach out to a dom, or this is why they want to work on an issue with their partner, or this is why they decide to go to a BDSM intensive with this master teacher or whatever. That's the intention. The what they hope to experience, what they hope to feel, what they want to walk away from it, being able to integrate into their life.
Mhm.
um, and yeah, and so there's a whole perhaps many axis of intention
Right.
of um, of perpetuating the issue, alleviating oneself from the issue, just having fun, simple exploration. Like that's a
Mhm.
beautiful intention. It's
Yeah.
just like it's innocent. um,
Mhm.
and we don't. I think, yeah, I think that I can stop there with intentions.
Yeah, because I just wanted to highlight that because, like, yes, I feel like this can be so healing, absolutely. But then also, like, it really depends on the person's intention because it could
Totally.
also just be perpetuating their own whatever they want to do, and it's actually like not they're not looking for healing. It's just
Yeah.
more of like exploration, and
And if you want to
everyone's
do that,
everyone's
that's
on their
great.
own journey,
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like there's such an opportunity though for healing, and I think like even just like with the intention of you like you're being the dominatrix, what is your intention? I think that's so
Mhm.
beautiful to get back to the core of your intention because intention is everything. So I feel like
Mhm.
when we can really go into that space with deep intention to support, it's like that's naturally gonna like the right clients are gonna be drawn to you to support that intention,
Mhm. Yeah,
you know.
totally. And sometimes I'll
Yeah.
also there's maybe I'll go through a week where I just want to play and I just want
Hmm.
to like have a very light experiences with my clients. And if those clients come in during that week, great. I'll do it. I just
Yeah.
I you it's I think that part of the most important thing is the discernment. What do
Hmm.
we hope for? What are we going to walk away feeling? And
Hmm.
what is morally acceptable to us and what is not, and
Hmm.
that's really important. And
Yeah.
there are things that are going to perpetuate ill health and disease, and there are things that are going to perpetuate or facilitate expansion and release from disease states. And
Hmm.
we decide what we want to do. We're
Right.
deciding all the time. And
Yeah, because I think with everything, there's light and dark within everything, within every field. So that,
mhm,
I mean, it makes sense that that would be the case for this too, you
mhm,
know?
mhm,
Yeah. Yeah. And I just feel like communication is probably like so important in
mhm.
that space too. Like, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to touch on like, it is that like a main component. I know you guys have your agreement beforehand, but like communication throughout the whole thing,
Mhm.
consent, like safety in the work, is that like a vital piece of the
For
process?
sure. Yeah. I mean, they're coming to me
Mhm.
because they think that I know how to use the tools. They trust
Mhm.
me to be checking in with them in whatever way they want. Some people want a lot of verbal check-ins. Some people want just like I'm monitoring them.
Mhm.
And so if they want just that second one that's nonverbal, it's more challenging potentially. But if they can alert me to how their body will give me cues, like will you flush or will your eyes become super dilated when you're in a submissive state, and will you start twitching perhaps when you get into like a bad way? Like how
Mhm.
do you signify to people that you are shutting down or that you are opening up? And
Mhm.
for the person that you're playing with to know that, it helps them calibrate, because you don't want to necessarily talk the whole time like, oh,
Right.
I'm having like a really like I'm having a hard time. You might say that, like, I'm having a
Mhm.
really hard time now, but sometimes when you're having a hard time, you just kind of like shut down. And if that's
Mhm.
how it is for you, then the person that you're with who's trying to take you deeper and deeper and deeper needs to
Mhm.
know what it looks like for you to shut down so that they can hold you, so they can pull back, so they can
Mhm.
pause, so they can give you a different kind of energy. And are they able to facilitate it when you get into that dark state? When you get into a
Mhm.
state, because
Right.
you might mess up. Like, you as the dominant might misread the situation and you might mess up. And one of the key guidelines
Mhm.
in all of this play is if somebody messes up, then you pause and you hold them and you really help them
Mhm.
through that process, and then you forgive each other. You're not nobody's
Yeah,
trying
because
to
we're
mess up.
human. That's a
We're
beautiful
humans.
lesson.
We're humans. We're
Yeah.
trying to play. We're
That's
trying to
such a
play in
beautiful
intense
lesson.
ways. We're trying to play as intense as we
Yeah.
can. And like,
Mhm.
if you mess up, like, you can't resent the person for their next hour that they like did something too extreme when you're already going into this extreme route. So what does it look like? What can it
Mhm.
look like for you to, how can they, if I'm the submissive, I'm going to talk with my dominant about how, if I do get injured physically, emotionally, what they can do to help me through, which requires a lot of self-knowledge.
Mhm.
Um, but it can also just be, just please hold me. Like, I think we often know what we need in those when we're not feeling well, to really take it through,
Mhm.
and make it to
Yeah.
the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah, I love
there's
that.
aftercare. I think that would be the thing that I would just really bring home. It's
Mm-hmm.
what can, like, you as the dominant need to be able to bring your submissive back to their full self as you're ending the scene, or like as the scene is over. They need to, both people need to leave the room feeling like their full self, not feeling compromised, not feeling still like they've given away their power, not feeling like that little abused child, whatever it is. You don't want to stay in the scene. So what do both people need? Does the dominant actually need some care after the scene? Like, what do both people need in order to feel like they're able to emerge as their full selves?
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's beautiful. It's like a full, yeah, like a full ceremony. It seems like,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
ritual.
Yeah, and I feel like even you guys having such strong communication and consent, like in that space, like a safe space, it feels like that's all, and like forgiveness and knowing that you're human and you're gonna mess up and no one's perfect, and like offering that forgiveness, it feels like those are such beautiful tools to like use out in the real world when you're back in your
Mm-hmm.
relationship, or when you're back with with other people, with dating a
Totally.
partner, with trying to date, within your relationship, whatever it may be, wherever you're at.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like that's such good practice to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to communicate your needs too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
thorough
that's so,
communication, forgiveness of error,
yeah,
and like care, tender care.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. I kind of wanted to, I know we're running up on time, but I'm curious if there's like any specific um scenario, like any specific scenario in your mind that has been like so incredibly healing for you to like really see like the healing power of this work. If there's like an example that you have with someone that you've worked with, if you feel comfortable sharing.
I'll share the example of one of the favorite clients I've ever had, who's a woman,
Mm,
and she was brilliant. And which it's very rare to have a woman, period. But
mhm,
she is extremely thoughtful as a person, and she wanted to do. She was healing from a relationship that was pretty traumatic, um, and she wanted us to replicate the scenes, um, of this past relationship.
mhm,
So doing having dates where we did all the things that she and her ex-girlfriend would do. Except now she was in control, and uh, she could use her voice, and it was, so we went on. I don't know. I think maybe like five. We had this was over a series of like 5 sessions, and it was just so beautiful to
mm,
go into these intense spaces in all different aspects of her life. One of them was just going to a bar that she and her girlfriend used to go to. One of them was a very specific like S&M scene in the dungeon. And we would just replicate what they did, the things that they talked about. And but I was being a different, being a different person, and she could
mhm,
speak up and move through it in a very different way. And she said that it was massively healing for her experience of that relationship. And
oh,
yeah, and it's beautiful. And through many events, this being one of them, but through other self-work that she was doing, she's now in a really good way, in a really,
yeah.
really strong, and back just in her full self. And it's very, very
Mhm.
beautiful.
Oh, I love that example. That's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. I can see how that, it's almost like taking your power back,
Taking her
being
power
able to,
back.
yeah,
Totally.
go back to that experience, use your voice, say what you wish you could have said
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. And it's
Yeah.
like, then it happened, it's like changing
Mm-hmm.
the energy of that experience,
Yeah.
reclaiming your power, reclaiming your voice. Like I
Yeah.
can totally see how that would be healing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
And it was
Thank
such
you
an
for sharing.
honor to get to go through with her. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you are an amazing woman, and this is so rich. What you're wanting to do right now is so rich.
Oh, yeah. I love that. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think just the last question to end it on is just like what is a truth about sexuality that you wish everyone could unlearn and relearn? Like what do you wish people knew about sexuality?
Mm. Well, I think really like learning to listen to our partners on a deep level, is
Mhm.
that is and not take it personally, but really hearing what they're yearning for, hearing what they really want to feel, how they want to experience things, and being soft and open to what they're yearning for, I think is huge. And
Mhm.
I I don't know, I have, um, as I've said, most of my clients are men, and many of them have a very challenging like love life relationship, at least sexual relationship, where they're not able to express themselves.
Mhm.
And I think that I would I would just say that being brave in saying what you're looking for and being curious about what your partner is looking for, really asking for what are the weird, like, are there any weird things that you're yearning for? Like, what do you want to do? Like, let's expand ourselves together. It's so helpful. It's so connective, and it really keeps marriages intact. It keeps relationships going deeper and deeper. And yeah, I think that being curious about what your partner is wanting and being explicit about it, being um like yeah,
Mhm.
being curious, I think, is a number. It's so important.
Yeah.
Um and that what somebody is curious about now, it's going to change as they explore it. Like, even
Mhm.
if they're yearning for this one particular thing right now, and they're yearning for with all their heart, maybe that it's just like a vitamin deficiency. Maybe they just need that particular thing, and then they'll be filled up with it, and they'll go on to something else.
Mhm.
We're constantly, we have these cravings and these yearnings, and by going into them in a healthy way with the people that we love and that we're committed to, it's we can we can give to that part of ourselves that will then be filled up, and we're not
Mhm.
going to stay in that forever. Hopefully,
Mhm.
um, we're evolving people. So being curious about what our partners yearn for, being curious about what are our what's my desire, what am I yearning for these days, what do I
Mhm.
want to feel, and how can I like, our partners probably will be wanting to give that to us.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So being brave enough to express those things, being brave enough to ask, um, will be it's such a balm.
Yeah. I love that. I think so too. And I think there's so much power in, yeah, just reclaiming your sexuality, knowing that sex is like such a beautiful and sacred thing. It's not meant to be
Mm-hmm.
this dirty, shameful thing. It's like we are meant to experience pleasure. We are
Yeah.
meant to experience play and pleasure. And we need to learn how to embrace that, like in a
Yeah.
really healthy, conscious way. And I feel like, one, it starts with you getting curious about your relationship with sex. And if you're with a partner, it's like, yeah, like you guys getting to know what each other want in a healthy way and exploring together and exploring with yourself, I feel like can be
Mm-hmm.
so powerful. And I just think like we need to start having these conversations at such a young age around sex, and that it's just not something to fear or to shy away from. Like it's a natural human instinct. This is
Mm-hmm.
like we are here to, procreate. We're also here to experience play, joy, pleasure, all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and like honor our desires and connect to our bodies and
Mm-hmm.
experience sex as like the sacred life-giving energy that it is,
Yeah.
so
Desires are an offering. They are a divine offering to us to go
yeah.
deeper and to explore and to have the miracles of life come out.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's like if there's shame that comes up around that, like just get curious, like hold yourself with so
Mm-hmm.
much compassion and curiosity of like,
Mm-hmm.
where is this stemming from? Because oftentimes it's stemming from the societal beliefs, like
Mm-hmm.
it's perpetuated. So, like, it's not your fault if you feel shame around desires or sex or whatever it may be. Just
Yeah.
really getting curious about that and like, where is
Mm-hmm.
it stemming from? And it's safe for you to explore pleasure and play and sex
Mm-hmm.
and it all like in that healthy way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just by having like these kinds of conversations too, it can start to shift the conversation a bit, to
Mm-hmm.
like embrace
Mm-hmm.
that instead of shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just thank you for all that you
Thank you,
shared.
Holly.
Is there anything we missed that you want to share?
Yeah, I think we were pretty comprehensive, but I think that what you were just getting into, this, when you feel tension around something, when you apply your attention to that tension, Like if I have a tension in my belly, for example, and I lie down and I hold that, and I just put my attention on that space where there's the knot, and I just hold it there. After 1 minute, after 2 minutes, after 3 minutes, it will dissolve. And it's like, then my digestion flows freely. I'm not holding anymore. By looking at what we are tensing around, there'll be release. And sometimes all we have to do is just look at it and really allow it to be, not try to judge it, not try to change it, not tell it that it needs to open up, just press it, like play with it, press it and love it, and it will soften. It just, that is trigger point release. That's
Yeah.
how we allow for our life to happen again.
Yeah, it's like that spaciousness and compassion, so we are so hard on
Totally.
ourselves. It's like that
Yeah.
compassion. We just got to have that compassion and understanding, which can be
Mm-hmm.
challenging, but yeah, thank you for adding that. I love that.
Mm.
Well, where can people find you? Do you have social media or you have a website
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I have
everything?
a
Yeah.
website. It's mistresswildiris.com, and I have a Twitter. It's mxwildiris.
Oh,
I'm not on there very much, but I uh, respond by email. It's
yeah.
mistresswildiris@gmail.com. And my
Perfect.
tiny temple, where I take my sessions, is up here in Saratoga. It's out in the countryside. It's glorious and beautiful. And
Oh.
come for a session. It's going to be great.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'll have all of that in the show notes for anyone that's interested. But yeah, just thank you so much for your time and for your energy. And yeah, the work that you do, I see you and I see the intention. And I'm so glad that you had that period where you really like
Mm-hmm.
came back to the seat of that intention
Yeah.
and released some of the shame that you were carrying, because that's huge. And I just feel like this work is so needed with women that are conscious and living in alignment and just doing this,
Mm.
so I'm just so grateful for the work that you do. Just thank you for being open and vulnerable with all of this.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Holly. I appreciate it. I really,
Yeah.
I do. Thank you for having me on today. It's been awesome talking to you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye. As we wrap up today's episode, we want to extend our deepest gratitude for joining us on this journey. Your support does not go unnoticed. If you enjoyed this episode and find value in our conversations, please take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also allows us to reach more people who can benefit from our community of healing and support. Every review, every rating makes a difference. Thank you for being a part of the Multiple Truths podcast family. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Multiple Truths podcast. Keep speaking your truth and spreading your light. We love you, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.